Well, welcome back to my channel. I'm glad you're here today, and this is going to be a pretty intense topic, but I think it's a necessary topic. I know this might sound wild, but in the ages of 10 to 24, suicide has now become the second leading cause of death. And the first one isn't even a choice, it's an accident. Car accidents. And so the fact that it's gone from 3 to 2 in the last couple years alone really makes this topic necessary. I have learned that the idea of suicide, thoughts of suicide, that all comes from an emotional upset, right? Something that gets you to a place of not believing in yourself, not understanding your purpose or your design. Everyone has a purpose, and what I believe is that most just don't understand truly what direction they're supposed to head, and a lot of things come from that, right? The family that you're raised in, the personality you have, the people that you surround yourself by, all of these things really affect your feelings in your day-to-day and ultimately make the decision on how you feel about who you are, and can lead you to destruction and death ultimately. Now, the idea of like feelings and emotions and upsets, right, that comes from us and how we express ourselves daily. And so one of the things that comes to my mind is this idea that, youth boys, for example, living their lives behind video games especially. Now, the example of video games is perfect because it speaks to what I experienced in my life. When I started losing in those video games, because I was the best, and when I started losing though, I took it out on the screen, on whatever was around me. I punched those pillows. I wouldn't act that way in a normal setting, talking to someone, a friend or a family member. However, because I started acting like that and it consistently started growing and growing, then when those moments erupted in my normal day-to-day, that emotion was now accepted in my attitude. It was accepted because I did it so often that it now was triggered in certain events, and it was more erupted than ever before. And so I don't know if you're a parent on this today. I don't know if you're a kid who is feeling hurt or feeling alone, or this parent that doesn't know what to do. But what I believe is that there's some source that you can get to. So there's one link on here that I want you to go to. It's really going to help you ask those questions and get to know your son or your daughter, or someone that might be potentially getting to that place, and it will help you to ask the right questions and not ignore this. Now, today there's a negative stigma about suicide. No one talks about it, or no one wants to. No one wants to believe it's happening or believe that it could be them. And the reason is, I believe, over years of conditioning ourselves to lie to ourselves and say, hey, if a family member does something, let's cover it up, let's hide it. Well, I say let's do the opposite. Let's go dive right into it. Let's embrace it. Let's experience it together. Have you ever been in the ocean alone? It's scary. Have you ever been doing something alone in the dark? It's scary. But when you're with someone, it's less scary. It's less intimidating. My fiance's little sister, for an example, she was 11 years old at the time. She came to me and said, Dirk, I feel really down about myself. I don't know who I am, and I feel fat, I feel ugly, and I just feel like people bully me. And I started talking to her. I started asking her the right questions. What do you think's getting you here? What do you spend most of your time on? What gets you to these places? And she started getting to the place of saying, TikTok was unhealthy. She was constantly on it, living her life on it. And so she got rid of TikTok. She put it behind her, and now she's been happier than ever. Does it say it's the cure-all? No, but it's the start, right? It's this direction that we want to head. And if that was the first direction she needed to head to start working on, that's what she did. Now, what I know is there's really 4 things that I can think of that are changing the way teenagers think about themselves today. First, it's cyberbullying, or bullying in general. It's at an all-time high. Number 2 is the hopelessness and the isolation, right? They don't know when these things are going to turn around. They're stuck at home. They don't have friends to hang out with. 3, I would say social media and the comparison on social media. No one can be themselves. Everyone needs to be the person that gets more likes, to be the person that looks prettier, and it's not the way that things should be these days. And we should be living out of our own life and really operating out of the happiness in our lives. But when we see other things going better for someone else, or we see someone else's life looking better, we pull ourselves down. And then finally, number 4 is identity. I think identity is the spark of a lot of this depression and a lot of this suicidal thoughts. And I think if we can start to learn and band together to form identities in ourselves as we grow with each other and as we seek, relationships, that is the start of something new. I had one of my best friends, kill himself at the beginning of this year. He committed suicide, and one of the biggest reasons, I believe, was because he was afraid. And so I don't want you to be afraid. I want you to find hope. So if you're a parent on here, here. I hope that this can give you a little sense of hope, or a little sense of belief that things will turn around, or give you a source of some direction that you can head with your kids. And if you are someone that is thinking of suicidal thoughts today, just know you're not alone, and I'm going to keep pressing in on my media page so that you can get more and more help, so that you can find a place in this world and that you can believe in yourself along the way. Thank you guys for listening.